What's happened to the Judgment Day? The once white-hot faction that became less popular than the 24/7 championship division just overnight. Join us now as Wrestlelamia looks at how WWE have flopped it with the Judgment Day faction, WWE's biggest opportunity in some time. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos and follow us on Facebook for exclusive lists. Also check out Wrestlelamia.co.uk and our non-wrestling channel, Incredible. Well, the Judgment Day is DOA, aka Dead on Arrival, an incredible reversal of fortune for one of the WWE's hottest factions since the Hurt Business. Regrettably, it looks like the Judgment Day will go down in history just like the Hurt Business did, a faction that was white hot with wrestling fans, but that the WWE found a way to ruin it. As good as the Hurt Business was, the case can be made that the Judgment Day had even more potential and that it could have jump-started both Raw and SmackDown. Firstly, it was a powerful premise. But the Judgment Day had money written all over it. Things got off to a superb start as Edge, bitter over his repeated failures to create new glories after a miraculous return from retirement, assembled a faction of rising stars who also felt held back by their reliance on pleasing the fans. Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley, who have both tasted success, clearly wanted more, and Edge told them everything they wanted to hear. The group did what they said, and beat down WWE talent with promises of more destruction to come, as well as an open invitation to anyone in the WWE to come join them. It didn't take long for the Judgment Day to become the most exciting thing happening on Raw. On paper, the Judgment Day had the potential to target both Raw and SmackDown superstars, and Edge's remark about losing to someone cosplaying Aquaman was a great tease for an Edge vs Roman rematch, this time with Edge having backup. But why did it fall apart? The Judgment Day continued its winning ways, defeating the trio of Liv Morgan, AJ Styles and Finn Balor at Hell in a Cell, and promising a new member. Regrettably, that's when everything fell apart, as the Judgment Day introduced its newest member the next night on Raw, with Finn Balor joining the group and helping Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley kick Edge out of the very group he'd assembled. The most obvious reason why Judgment Day is DOA is the decision to take its founder Edge out of the group. However, there's more to the group going from the penthouse to the outhouse than the loss of its leader. The first is a poorly executed plan. Kicking Edge out of the Judgment Day wasn't a bad idea. However, as often happens with the WWE's creative department, the plan was poorly executed, resulting in a dull aftermath and a variety of plot holes in what should have been a dynamic development for the group of heels. The writers also failed to follow up with a compelling storyline to show why the new version of the Judgment Day was even more dangerous than the first. Number 2. Hotshot booking. Booting Edge out of the Judgment Day was more hotshot booking from the WWE, and as we've noted before, there can be cases where hotshot booking works, but usually these instances are the exceptions that prove the rule. Although the WWE seems to have leaked stories that Edge didn't want to participate in a supernatural storyline, there's no evidence to back up the supernatural storyline spin. Certainly, the Judgment Day had a gothic feel from it from the start, but there were never any supernatural elements, nor have there been any since Edge left the group. The WWE is unlikely to admit this, but the evidence suggests Edge was kicked out in order to give Raw a top babyface. Furthermore, Edge's latest turn is problematic as the rated R superstars fallen into the same category as the Big Show and Braun Strowman, superstars whose turns make no sense and usually without any explanation. While wrestling fans have short memories when it comes to heel turns, this one could end up hurting his character, as the fans will have little reason to cheer a man who just spent the last 2 months insulting them. Kicking Edge out has led to no advance in the storyline. The decision to have the heels govern themselves as equals may have seemed logical because no one left in the group stands out as a main eventer, unlike Edge. Unfortunately, the Judgment Day's collaborative rule has led to no accomplishments like the original incarnation had, making them look incompetent. It didn't help that the Judgment Day seemed to sit on their hands for the next 2 weeks after eliminating Edge, suggesting the WWE wasn't even sure what to do with the new trio after Edge's expulsion. Number 3. Gaping plot holes. Unlike most seemingly hot-shotted storylines, there are plenty of plot holes in the Judgment Day 2.0. First, there was no explanation for just what led to the faction turning on Edge, a leader who helped them get their, dare we say, competitor's edge back. Second, what made the group think that Finn Balor was a good addition when he proved incapable of defeating anyone from the Judgment Day? These storyline shortcomings could have easily been explained, but so far they haven't. The decision to expel Edge could have been based on the group becoming intoxicated with their recent success and power, but the WWE has done nothing to show this with promos or backstage segments. As for recruiting Balor, the WWE could have shown Balor deciding that he's had enough of getting beat up every week and or revealing he planted seeds of doubt in Priest and Ripley, taking the group over with the promise that he could help the Nightmare and the Archer of Infamy accomplish even more than what they did with Edge. The WWE Universe have come to expect plot holes, may they be minor or gaping, but when they affect a popular storyline, it's a wretched reflection on the entire company and bad for the fans' morale. Fans are still getting over their disgust with what happened with the Hurt Business, and this is sure to cause even more friction between fans and the WWE. Number 4. Rhea Ripley's injury. Now obviously this was out of WWE's hands, but Rhea Ripley's injury obviously slowed down some of the group's post-Edge momentum, but they were already in bad shape after they kicked Edge out of the group. The Nightmare has been vague about the exact nature of her injury, so it's impossible to know whether she can appear to cut promos. You'd think the WWE could have had her tape vignettes, but assuming she can't, why not add another member who can talk? Alexa Bliss could have easily stepped into the Judgment Day, and as fans know, her name was brought up as a potential member before Rhea Ripley joined, and considering the skills she showed playing a demon doll for The Fiend, a twisted version of Little Miss Bliss seems like an easy way to make up for Ripley's absence. Number 5. Poor promos. Ripley quickly proved she was the Judgment Day's most charismatic worker and is the best talker once Edge was removed. Damian Priest is better used as a strong silent type, while Finn Balor just hasn't had too many opportunities to talk in WWE. Number 6. Stalled storylines. And one of the worst elements of the post-Edge Judgment Day is that the group has gone from working a high-profile program with AJ Styles to wrestling Rey and Dominic in a hastily assembled series. The only promise here is a Dominic heel turn, but the WWE has teased Dominic turning heel for the last year, and a heel turn could be a good way to jumpstart the Judgment Day and Dominic, who should be doing more than just playing Via's punching bag. It's obvious that creative has put the Judgment Day's development and storylines on hold pending Edge's return, but there's more problems ahead. As bad as the Judgment Day's decline has been, things are likely only going to get worse when Edge returns. Don't be surprised to see the Rated R superstar dismantle the group by himself, with Damian Priest sliding back down the card and Balor disappearing into obscurity, aka main event. Despite the Judgment Day circling the drain, the WWE can still breathe some life into it by having Rhea Ripley do the majority of the talking, at least until Finn Balor finds his voice, and or recruiting a member who has more charisma as an upper card or preferably main event player such as Alexa Bliss. The Judgment Day's problem is entirely of the WWE's making, which means it shouldn't have to bring a former superstar back or bring in someone from outside the company. While the idea of doing so may be tempting, especially if they were like to pick Bray Wyatt or something, there's just as much chance the WWE will stumble with an outsider. The Judgment Day still has potential, and the right moves could get it back on track. This includes bringing 1 or 2 new members from Raw, SmackDown, or even NXT, having the group start causing havoc on all 3 brands as it renews its mission statement to pass judgment on the WWE, and planning out a long-term storyline for the group that features them on a regular basis. But there you have it, guys. The WWE has flopped with the Judgment Day. What do you guys think of the group? Can they redeem themselves? Let us know in the comments down below, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.